regulation of kidney function. Okay. Otherwise, I'll also mention here in the hormonal regulation. We have seen in our hormone lecture about the different function of hormone. With respect to the digestive system, we have already seen now. Okay. But now we will see about the regulation of the excretory system by the hormones. Okay. And here what the hormones will do, osmoregulation, and thereby it controls the blood pressure of our body. Okay, and also osmoregulation to water recovery. That's the main function. Why? Because our kidney is worked so much. Okay, kidney is working hard. I put the hard work. Every time, 179 liters of water is filtering out, right? And then getting back. It's difficult task for kidney now. Kidney is working hard. Okay. For what? For reabsorption or resorption of water by osmoregulation. Okay. The hormone which is involved for this osmoregulation or the regulation by pituitary hormones. That's involved regulate the process. Okay. If you see on the previous lecture about the pituitary gland, like this, back of this brain, you have got a duct which is coming over here, and yes, and this is the pituitary gland. Okay, pituitary gland, and here you got this part is hypothalamus of the brain. Okay, and this part is the posterior pituitary. Okay, and here what you get, this is the anterior part, and you have neuroendocrine cells. I'm just drawing for your understanding. I have a large cell. This is the capillary which is coming out. Okay, this is the blood capillary, and then here neuroendocrine cells, which is having this part. Okay, neuroendocrine cell, and then this part is the one where it secretes the hormone. Okay, from the hormone is released from the hypothalamus region, this region, via neurosecretory cells, and this cell we call it as a neurosecretory cell. So there are a lot of neurosecretory cells, and that releases the hormones into the bloodstream here. Okay. So the hormone, what is the hormone here? The hormone from the pituitary glands, the hypothalamus, secreted by neurosecretory cells, which is present in this hypothalamus, is vasopressin, Pressin. Vasopressin. I'll write it in a next page. Hormone. What hormone we are talking about? Hormone is vasopressin. Also, it is known as, we already discussed about it, but if you remember previously, it is called antidiuretic. diuretic, anti-diuretic, D-I-U-R-E, here this E-T-I-C, anti-diuretic hormone. In other words, it is called ADH hormone. Okay, vasopressin, antidiuretic hormone. In a short, it is called ADH. So this hormone is regulating the osmoregulation or the water reabsorption. Okay. So now, the another name for this is also, they call it another name. Same hormone, but there's a different name. Okay, arginine, because the arginine-rich amino acid. Arginine is an amino acid. Arginine vasopressin, or otherwise called AVP. So either AVP or ADH or vasopressin, all the same. Okay. So this hormone, this the vasopressin hormone, which is a peptide hormone. Okay. Short like ADH, yeah, peptide hormone. Peptide hormone means it made up of amino acids. How many amino acids? There are 9 amino acids. 9 amino acid peptide hormone. Okay. And the regulation of this is from the brain receptors. Brain receptors. You should remember that the regulation of the kidney function is done by the ADH hormone, and the ADH hormone is already, it is in the brain, right? So in the brain, the brain receptors, that which will accept this ADH hormone, and then it will activate. Let us see that part. When the brain receptors feels or sense the osmolarity, which I mentioned earlier, okay, if it is more diluted, suppose if you are drinking a plenty of water, maybe 2 liters of water within 15 minutes, what will happen when you drink that much water? That is going to be absorbed, getting into your intestine, and then absorbed into the blood, and then your blood volume will increase. At the same time, the concentration of the osmolarity, what are present in the blood, that is going to be diluted. Is that right? So when the receptors, then it's getting into the circulation. Suppose I'll give you this one. Suppose this is the capillary, right? This blood is flowing through, and you are drinking plenty of water. What will happen? There's some receptors over here. That receptors feel the osmolarity, which is going less than 300 milliosmolar. Okay. When the brain receptors, this one, feels the osmolarity is less than 300 milliosmolar. If 300 is okay, it's normal, okay. If you are diluting it by drinking plenty of fluid, which is not getting into the urine, okay. So what will happen, the brain receptors feel, hey, there is a diluted amount, so now we have to remove that one. So we have to remove the water from the blood flow. So what shall we do? So the receptors give the signal, and that neurosecretory hormone, then ADH hormone will be synthesized. Let's see now. 300 milliosmolar. Then what will happen after the receptors feels this? It will release the ADH hormone or AVP hormone. Okay, both are same, vasopressin. As soon as that release, where it will go? It feels, and then the hormone now is entering into the blood. So I put it in another color. So now the hormone is feeling. Now the green color is the hormone is synthesized and getting into the bloodstream. This is the hormone. Okay, AVP or ADH, the hormone. Okay. So now it's getting into the blood. Then where this from blood it will go to where? Kidney. Okay. In the kidney, you should remember when we discuss about the distal tubules. Okay. So the ADH now enter into the kidney. In the kidney, you know about the collecting tubes and distal tubules, right? In the distal tubule and collecting tube. Collecting ducts, I put it over there. Just I'll switch over back onto the slide. If you see, this is the distal tubules, this one, this region, okay, and then this is the collecting tubules. Could you see the broken blue arrow? That denotes the water recovery or water transport across back into the body, okay. So the kidney, ADH will go to the kidney where it will enter into the distal tubules and then the collecting ducts. Okay. There it acts on increase, it acts on increase water permeation. So in thereby, whatever the water which is present in the blood, and that is going to filtrate out, it increases the filtering and then is back into the body. And also, and increase the ADH increase urea permeability. Urea permeability. So urea is also being removed. So where exactly it will act on these tubules? Where exactly? As I mentioned before, the AVP can act on GPCR mechanism. If you remember in your hormone lecture, we did study about the GPCR, coupled receptor, guanosine, phosphate, coupled receptors, GPCR, which will activate on cyclic AMP pathway, and this cyclic AMP now activate kinase, activate a kinase enzyme. Kinase again that will phosphorylate, right? Kinases. And this kinases, I'll write in the next page. Okay. So the kinases which is activated now, and these kinases now act on aquaporin. Okay. Aqua, AQUOPORIN. Aquaporin are urea transporters. Aquaporin transport water and urea transport the urea. Urea transporting protein transporters. Okay. So the result of this activation, what will happen? Kidney, okay, recovering it, okay, recovers more water, and the result, what will happen? If we recover more water, the kidney is recovering more water, then what will happen to it? Then the blood volume of water, blood water volume, okay, is blood water volume, what will happen? More water and blood volume, recovering more water, blood volume increased, and as a result of blood water volume is increased. Okay. And by the result, you get the increasing blood volume. Okay. Then the osmolarity decreases. So the neurons at the brain, okay, that secrete the vesicles. So that's the how that will get back into the tract now, because it increase the urine and then increase urine output, and thereby you get the normal process. But at the same time, the kidney is recovering, and then it's more water, and the blood water volume is increased. We will see that the next how that will recover now. Okay. When you increase the blood volume, okay, increase the blood volume, also increase the blood pressure. The volume is directly proportional to the pressure. If you have more volume, that can also increase the more of the pressure in that one. Okay. So here because kidney is so much to do with water volume. Now we are going to study the kidney is so much hard work or so much to do with water volume and blood volume. So kidney plays a major role in this one. Okay, how that kidney is going to adjust this whole process. Let's see. We'll see the the glomerular filtrate mechanism. I'll draw like this. This is the one, right? This is the filtering mechanism, the glomerular filtrate, right? And then here you get of the blood capillary which is coming up. Okay, I'm just writing in a very big sense. I mean, these are the tubule, I think. Okay, the blood is coming here and then it's going up. Okay, and this is the transport or filtering mechanism which is taking place here. Okay. Now, this process of glomerular process, here we call it this particular part we call it as a JGA. J for juxta, Juxta, juxta. G for glomerular, GL, I'll write it here. Glomerular, juxta glomerular apparatus. Okay. In this, what happened? The glomerular apparatus, and this process, the glomerular apparatus, okay, they are located in the arteries. Suppose this is the artery which is coming over here, okay, and now you can also see this one, the blue color, this apparatus which is present here, like this, JGA, which is present as an apparatus. They are present in arteries. Glomerular arteries. Okay, the wall, arteries wall, I put it there. This one, this arteries, JGA now sends the arterial blood pressure. Sends the arterial blood pressure. How? When the blood is passing through, and if it is having a more volume of water, and if a blood volume increase, it also increases the blood pressure, so that it can be measured or sensed by the JGA or juxtaglomerular apparatus can sense that pressure, okay, which is present in the glomerular filtrate nearby the arteries. Okay, when there is a decline in the blood pressure, suppose if there is a decline in the blood pressure, okay, that's right. If there is a decline in blood pressure, that's not clear, I write it on the red, decline in blood pressure, the JGA cells, they secrete a hormone, actually is renin, R-E-N-I-N, renin. Which one? JGA. Where the JGA is there? JGA is present in the glomerular filtrate, where it is present in the arteries. And this JGA can sense the blood pressure of the arterioles. So as soon as it senses a decline in blood pressure, the JGA now secretes renin, And this renin is again is an enzyme. It's an enzyme, okay. And this enzyme, again, what type of enzyme? This enzyme is a proteolytic activity. Proteolytic enzyme. Okay. This will act on protein and cleaves amino acids, right? Proteolytic means it acts on protein and cleave some amino acids, right? Amino acids from the polypeptide chain, and thereby it can activate. That's why it is called proteolytic. It lyses a protein, acts on protein, cleaves some amino acids from that. So now the JGA release the renin as an enzyme, and the renin now enters into the blood, right? Renin enters into the blood. Renin enters into the blood. Okay. And then it acts on a specific targets. Okay. Renin now acts on specific targets. Acts on specific targets. It modifies or it acts as a proteolytic on angiotensinogen. Angiotensinogen, and it convert the angiotensinogen to angiotensin, ANGIO, angiotensin 1 is a number. So the angiotensinogen is a protein, and this protein is inactive form, but it is being activated by renin. And the renin, where the renin is coming from? The renin is coming from JGA, that is juxtaglomerular apparatus, which is present in glomerular, in the kidney, filtering mechanism. When it feels there is a blood pressure change, okay, then there is a decline, then the JGA will secrete renin, and renin will get into the blood, and where you find the angiotensinogen, an inactive protein, it will cleave certain amino acids here, release some amino acids, and then it produces angiotensin 1. Okay, which in turn, this angiotensin 1, after that, it will also change to angiotensin 2. Okay, which is called, I can call it, this is another isomer. It modify. Angiotensin 1 will not stand for a while, but it will change its shapes to another isomer, that's call it as a angiotensin 2. Okay, modifies or changes its structure to angiotensin 2. Okay, this angiotensin 2 now get through a kinase reaction or phosphorylation. Okay, angiotensin 2 is being changed. So this modification, what I'm talking about, this modification is changing from phosphorylation and kinase reactions, and that will change to form the angiotensin. And this is a more aggressive form. This angiotensin 2 is aggressive form. Okay, in certain places, aggressive. So this one, this angiotensin 2, I put it like a Ang2 in short form. This is more aggressive. Now this is getting into the blood, okay, angiotensin 2, Ang2, and it induces, I put it like this, Ang2 in blood, it induces vasoconstriction. Vasoconstriction means it reduces the capillaries, it reduces the vascular constriction, it's just a narrowing down. So otherwise it closes off certain capillaries. Okay, if it closes the capillaries, what will happen? Or capillary beds, what will happen? It increases the blood pressure. Increases the result. Suppose if you have the capillaries, the blood is moving like this. Okay, so this is a capillary bed. So suppose if this is a vasoconstriction, if you are closing down this loop because of the Ang2, what will happen if it closes? The blood will not move over here, but at the same time you are giving a pressure, and then the blood which is present in this capillary bed increases. It started building its own pressure because it's a closing. It won't go up. It cannot go up. So because of the Ang tension blocks this pathway, so it increases the blood pressure. Okay. So it all starts with where? It all starts with this one. Here, JGA sends the arterial blood pressure if there is a decline in blood pressure. So the JGA releases the renin to keep up or to restore the lost blood pressure. So the JGA release renin, and the renin pathway is getting into the angiotensin 2. It synthesizes angiotensin 2, now induces the vasoconstriction, and thereby it increases the blood pressure. So this is the mechanism how the kidney is maintaining the blood pressure of our system. Okay. Do you follow now? Where the angiotensin 2, how the angiotensin 2 act, where it exactly? Angiotensin 2 acts only on capillary beds, not on very large arteries, no. It's only acting on the capillary, and thereby it can slowly build up the blood pressure. So Ang2 in another place, Ang2 in the blood, it's on the capillary, in the kidney again, and Ang2 also act on proximal tubules. Okay, and also Ang2 act on adrenal glands, proximal tubules, adrenal, 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 I'll write it again, adrenal gland. Okay, acts on adrenal gland. And what adrenal gland will do? Adrenal gland will release steroidal hormone. Steroidal hormone called, what type of steroidal hormone? Aldosterone. Aldosterone synthesis. And this aldosterone will act on distal tubules and collecting duct. So you should remember that the angiotensin 2, where the angiotensin 2 is coming from? Angiotensin 1. From where the angiotensin 1 coming from? Angiotensinogen. And how it is being converted? Because of the renin. Where the renin is coming from? JGA, juxtaglomerular apparatus, and that's the sensing in a higher or lower blood pressure. So in this case, the synthesis will occur when there is a decline in blood pressure, or if you have an excess of water in the blood, and thereby that if there is a declining in a blood pressure, then the angiotensin 2 is acting on proximal tubules, and also it acts on adrenal glands, synthesize aldosterone hormone, and this aldosterone will act on distal tubules and collecting duct. What they will do on that, as I mentioned before, the mechanism in the both of these tubules, both of the things which will act on, I'll write it, the collecting duct and as well as the proximal tubules, right? Tubules and the distal tubules, right? So it contributes overall recovery of sodium chloride, overall recovery of sodium, NaCl. So the angiotensin will help to recover of more of sodium chloride. Okay. Also, it also do a recover of water. Why I say the recover of water from here? As I mentioned before, when there is an excess water on this one, or the sodium chloride, or if you have a, it will go immaterial. You know, there is no restriction. As I mentioned, there is no specificity. If the water is coming up, it's coming up. Excess water, it will go through. There is no restriction. There is no regulation mechanism here. So it will filter. Water is filter. But at the same time, this water should be eliminated a certain amount, and also we have to replenish or to recover this water. So that is taking place in the collecting duct, proximal tubules and distal tubule. So we are preserving our sodium loss from the filtrate as well as the water recovery from the filtrate, and thereby we are maintaining our blood volume as well as the blood pressure. So if it recovers the water and recovers the sodium chloride, and thereby what will, now the water reabsorption, recovered water, what it will do? It will go from the tissues to blood, right? So what happened here? The blood volume increases. Blood volume increases. Okay? And therefore, the blood volume increases, and it leads to increase in blood pressure. Okay. You should remember this, increase in blood pressure. When there is an increase in blood pressure, when you get, this is a compensatory mechanism, right? When the JGA sends the arterial blood pressure, when there is a decline, right? When there is a decline in the blood pressure, then the renin and everything is synthesized, and then angiotensin, and then the final result of that is increase in the blood pressure. Okay. So the sensor in the kidney, I write it in a separate page. Sensor in kidney. That's the sensor in kidney. What they do? They sense what it senses? A drop in blood pressure. Drop in blood pressure. And then it initiates JGA, and the JGA will give you release the renin, and the renin will get into angiotensinogen, I put it like that, and then Ang1, and then it's modified to Ang2, and then the Ang2 will act on proximal tubules, right? Proximal, distal, and collecting duct, and all these process which will recovery of sodium chloride, and also recovery of water, and thereby increase in blood pressure. So drop in blood pressure result in this pathway, activate through kidney, again is getting into the increase in blood pressure. So this is the, the way, the mechanism, and how our kidney is playing a major role. How long this process will, sorry.
What's that in the bottom?
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
This is the proximal tubules, distal tubules, collecting duct.
What happens to them?
Because it will act on this tubule, the Ang10-2 will act on these tubules to help in recovery of sodium chloride and also recovery of water from the filtrate which is coming out. When it comes out, it increases in the blood volume, and then it increases in the blood pressure. So it works like this. If there is no sensor in the kidney, what will happen? Our blood pressure cannot be managed or maintained properly, and then we are suffering from the hypertension and everything. So we don't want, that's why they said hypersalt, if you sodium chloride, if you eat excess of salt, that induces, you are knocking down the sensors on this pathway, and thereby you are increasing the blood pressure of that path. It's in a negative way. But at the same time, you have to manage and maintain the salt input and as well as the removal. Okay, how long this process can exist? Because I say It's a drop in blood pressure and increase in blood pressure. Now, do you think that the increasing blood pressure is going on and on, on and on, on and on? Then in that case, you are going to be suffering from a hypertension if you don't switch off this mechanism. So what is that regulation in that one? The Ang1 via cyclic AMP, right? So this process, the Ang1, I mean this is again, I'm writing the same things, cyclic AMP, and then via where? GPCR, that's a coupled receptors, okay? And it is a fast reaction. It's a very fast reaction. Fast reaction. And then it's an immediate reaction. Okay? It's an immediate reaction. The angiotensin to angio1, the conversion of renin angiotensinogen, angiotensin 1 and 2, and cyclic AMP. This process is the fast one. We also discussed about the another process, the Ang2 activate the aldosterone process. The aldosterone, what the aldosterone will do? Aldosterone is a steroid hormone, and it requires gene expression. Because it will act on a gene, particular gene, and it increases the mRNA as well as the activate the gene expression process. And it will take a while to do the gene expression, getting into the nucleus, and then transcription process and translation process on the protein. So it is a very slow process. Okay. So if you want to have genes that regulate the sodium channel, and this gene, okay, it regulate sodium channels, and the response is going to be a long-lasting response. So once it sets in, then the reaction will be there for a while. But here it will come immediately, and then it's an immediate reaction, immediate release. This is a fast reaction. So the process, this one, aldosterone process, is a slow but steady. But it is a fast and it's an immediate reaction which will act on the angiotensin 2 and then getting into GPCR process. So in a total, inside of our body, okay, inside our body, I put it in a simple sense, inside our body, there are many sensors. Sensors are there. Many sensors. Or we can also call it a receptors. Sensors are receptors. And they are present for various agents. Various agents, we have sensors as well as the receptors there. So they control how. If there is an increase, I put an arrow, upward arrow, that means increased blood pressure, BP, that is sensed by heart receptors. I am talking about another one, heart receptors. And then these heart receptors present in the heart muscles inside the heart, and they will respond to blood pressure. So the heart muscle is okay, then it can maintain the blood pressure. Okay. The heart cell, this time, okay, heart cell, what the heart cell will do, will release a peptide. Heart cell will release a peptide. That peptide, call it as atrial natriuretic, NAT or I or NATRIURETIC, and atrial natriuretic peptide. So otherwise it is called the ANP, okay, and atrial natriuretic peptide, ANP. So this ANP now will react, this ANP, okay, interact with a large number of JGA. You know about JGA function? Previously, just now we discussed about it. So the heart receptors will release through the heart cell the ANP, atrial natriuretic peptide. This is a small peptide, and this will now interact a large number of JGA. What JGA will do? Renin and that process just now we discussed about it. And thereby JGA, also the ANP can act on distal tubules. Okay, and the distal tubules, you know about the recovery, right? So the ANP, in other words, acts on distal tubules. This ANP inhibits, inhibits the Ang2 activity. Ang2 action where at distal tubules. When it inhibits the distal tubules, what will happen? That will lead to distal tubules. What will happen in the distal tubules? That lead to a decrease in sodium, okay, and water recovery. So what will happen when there is an increase in blood pressure? Why there is an increase in blood pressure? Because we did study about the JGA when there is a low in blood pressure, that releases the JGA, and there the process, the kidney drops in blood pressure. So that's the census. So it recovers through this angiotensin process, the water recovery and increase in blood pressure. But it is not going to be long-lasting increase in blood pressure, because that will damage our heart and our system. So immediately our body will respond to it to adjust to the increase in blood pressure. How? The process is the sensors and the receptors in our body, especially if there is an increase in blood pressure, that is sensed by heart receptors. Heart receptors respond to high BP or blood pressure. The heart cell releases the ANP, atrial natriuretic peptide, and this peptide now interact with JGA and the distal tubules, and what they will do, ANP from the heart peptide, to inhibit the Ang2 reaction. And the Ang2 reaction, what? The tubules, it inhibits the sodium and water recovery, right? They decrease the recovery of sodium and water, and thereby, what is the result of this? Yeah, that is an increasing the pressure, and that what recovery, that is going to be decrease in blood pressure. That's the result. Okay. So the another one pathway, the adrenal gland, which is aldosterone, right? Adrenal gland, which we just now we saw that, where the Ang2 will induces the synthesis, right? Synthesis of what? Synthesis of aldosterone, right? Aldosterone synthesis in the adrenal gland, Ang2 will do. Okay. Now, if the ANP, which is coming from the heart cell, which inhibits the Ang2 now. So now this Ang2 synthesis, then now the result is going to be aldosterone level, which increases, but the synthesis of aldosterone will be blocked, right? It inhibits the process of the adrenal glands, and aldosterone level will go down. Okay. And what happened? Turning off what? Turning off release of aldosterone. So no aldosterone will be produced. Right. So the next part is the JGA. Okay, and on the JGA, what happened? JGA, okay, which will sense where there is a decrease in blood pressure, right? And thereby, what will happen when the decrease in blood pressure? You get the renin synthesis, right? Renin, and then they process the ultimate process, the increase in blood pressure. That is the regular process. So what happened is the ANP again, which will inhibit the renin process, right? That's the JGA to renin. See, JGA to renin process. This is the one. Okay, this will inhibit this process. JGA will not synthesize no more renin, right? And thereby it will act. The ANP will maintain the homeostasis when there is an increase in blood pressure. So ANP will act as a homeostatic, because it's maintaining an equilibrium, right? Homeostatic response, that's very important. Homeostatic response, or we can also call it as a feedback inhibition of blood pressure mechanism. Feedback mechanism. Okay. So the things are happening to balance now, to balance the blood pressure changes, right? Balance the blood pressure. So we need these components. And also we need the ANP and AVP and all. They regulate what? Regulate blood volume. Okay. And also through the blood osmolarity. It maintain or balance. We keep it in check on always, right? So in the other regulations of this mechanism, which is one other thing, is I think you know about, just I'm drawing again, that's where the renin synthesis like this. Here the cells, which is going to be JGA. Okay, these are glomerular cells. Okay, where you get the urine which is passing through here. Okay, collecting that, and JGA will fill on that, where it will produce the renin pathway. This is in a glomerular filtrate, right, which I mentioned earlier. So everything which has been built in, and there is a loop and distal tubule, collecting tubules and everything, and this is the process where the JGA is present, right? So the tubules, the another mechanism is on the macula densa, in the close proximity of these renin synthesizing JGA cells. And when the loop, actually it's not a loop which is coming out here, when I mention here, when I'll show you, the loop is not like coming like this, it's not a straight like this. So the part of loop is going surrounding by the glomerular filtrate here. Okay, so that's the one which I want to show you. The next one, this is the same one what we did discuss earlier. You can solve the water reabsorptions and this for this gland, sodium chloride, how the blood flow and lumen, the mechanism which is there. Management of sodium chloride. This for the gill, and this for the different animals. That I'm talking about here. I'm looking one of those kidney function. It will go through. I'll write it here, so you'll understand. See, the glomerular filtrate. Okay. So it's going on these tubules, right? This tubule is not like this, which is coming directly. It will go like this, surrounding here, and then you get the distal tubules. in a matter of fact. So here you will find all these arteries which is coming out, but the distal tubules which is surrounding this is the natural way. But I explained to you in a very simple way that it will go like this and it come, just go and then it comes like this. But it will change and it will go surrounding this, and then thereby if there is a flow of urine and then recollections and everything, it is very close proximity to glomerular filtrate or JGA cells. That's what I want to explain to you. So macular densa, okay, of close proximity to JGA, the one which is present distal tubule, that is very near to the JGA, and thereby it can act on the arterioles, okay, arteriole near the JGA, and thereby it can adjust the fluid movement, the fluid in the duct, okay, and they also the signals when there is a excess and there's a dilations and everything, it signals to nitric oxide synthase, and thereby the arteriole relaxation can occur. Arteriole relaxation. This is another way, another mechanism which will control the blood pressure. The arterial which will relax, arterial relaxation due to nitric oxide. This nitric oxide is synthesized in the ductal nearby in the arteries in the JGA. So that's another one that you should understand. So the regulation of in total, you get the what we achieve here: nutrient demands, okay, in the kidney. That's getting into the glucose. What nutrients we recover? Glucose we recover, the filtrate, and also it can be influenced by glucagon hormone. So we can manage the glucose, whatever the glucose which is going down, the glucagon will act on the muscle side of the liver and release more glucose. So that is one mechanism. And kidney also play a major role in the reabsorption of glucose. Okay, and then the calcium and phosphate, that also influence the parathyroid hormone. Okay, and it can be managed by the duality of osmolarity, that lead to the blood pressure and osmolarity. So they are interrelated. So you can manage the blood pressure by altering this osmolarity. Okay, so that's the major part. So in total, what we learn in these classes about here the food which is coming out in the organism, right? And it's going to be circulatory system where the digestions and everything is taking place. So we did the circulatory system, and then a part is which we excrete some of the product. So that is also we did study water and waste or nitrogen balance or urea. Okay, that's released, and they're part of the digestion. We did study digestion part, and then we in the gas exchange, and then we also study the regulation by hormones. Okay, what I didn't discuss here, there are two parts. One is the muscle contraction. Another one is the neurons or the neurophysiology and muscular physiology. To the lack of time, I'm not going to discuss in a muscle, so I don't want you to get through that, but I want to give you the review for the exam, for the final exam after a break. Okay, so I have a break for 5 minutes, come back and we will discuss. Any questions? Any questions from Cinco? No questions? Okay. Come back next to 5 minutes or so, we will discuss about what questions we are going to do in the final exams. Okay.